We're live.
We're live. Episode 10.
We've been away for a little while. We spent the last month preparing for and executing the Read-A-Thon, which we'll talk about later, whether or not that was a success for some of us and not others. But it was still fun, and I'm glad we did it. But we did not film in the month of April. We were planning on filming last weekend, but after coming out of that Read-A-Thon, we were toast.
That was a lot of work.
It was more taxing than I thought it would be. And I think it's because we couldn't be mood readers.
Yeah, we had to force ourselves to read, a set list of things, and it couldn't just where you just pick up whatever.
And I had like a big list of things like this might catch my fancy. And then I read a ton of the same kind of book because I'm like, these will be easy to get through. And then I pretty much hated all of them. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We're so happy to be back. 10 episodes, big milestone.
Really? 10? Oh my gosh. It feels like we just recorded our first one.
I know. I'm looking through the list of everything here on where we film our episodes and going back here, October.
Wow.
We've been doing this a while.
It doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't. And to only have 10 episodes, obviously, we're trying to do 2 episodes a month, and sometimes we don't do any. But we have other stuff going on. Plus, we have lives on YouTube and other things. So we've been pretty active, and it's growing. We're figuring things out still. I mean, I think the first year is going to be growing pains and figuring stuff out, and I think we're doing pretty good.
I think we're doing an excellent job.
So without further ado, let's talk about what we did in April since we've been away. I'll get started. We're going to try and do something a little more, I'm going to say organized, but we're really just trying to dive in. The whole point of exploring this podcast together is like figuring out what we like, what works for us, and the different things that we have going on. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is obviously I'm the data guy, so it's through numbers. And I want to start figuring out, what am I reading? Like, what am I gravitating towards? And it's pretty obvious after you start looking at the stats who I am as a reader. And I think it's pretty obvious from yours as well. I did read 14 books in April, thanks to the Spring Cleaning Read-A-Thon. Most of those were books that I own, which is great. I read a pretty good mix of horror, fantasy, and like thrillers. Most of them were horror. Then we have fantasy, and then mystery, thriller, and one women's fiction, which was our book club from March. And then the next little stat we have is the most important for our Spring Cleaning Read-A-Thon. Reading books we already own. And I'm proud to say 50% of the books I read were books I already owned.
Awesome. That's what we're trying to get to.
So that was really nice because I did read one ahead of the Read-A-Thon because I was just kind of eager to knock it off the list. And I thought it would take me longer to read it. And I finished it before the Read-A-Thon started. So it still counts for the month. So 7 books owned, and then quite a few books. 29% of my books were from the library. I got a book of the month read in there, a Kindle Unlimited read, and I have 1 ARC. Lastly is my breakdown of ratings. Sadly, it did not go well for me and my ratings this month. So my ratings for the month, 43% of them were 3 stars, which isn't bad. It's really not. I did have 36%, which is 5 books, were 4 stars. Still great. I did have 1 5. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I also had 1 2 and 1 1. And we will also get into those because I need to talk about them. So like pretty good. I think that my books are somewhere going to range between 12 and like 15, 16 books a month, depending on what I'm reading, what's going on in life. I think that's a good amount of books to read. It'll get me past my goal. And I'm still reading books that I want to read, even if it doesn't always look like it. But yeah.
What's your goal for the year?
It's 100.
Okay, so your goal is 100. So how many have you read so far?
59.
We're not even halfway through the year yet.
Yeah, I know.
So you're going to go over?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're definitely going to go over.
I'm expecting a reading slump. I already kind of went through one. It's just really hard to like want to read something, and I'm kind of still there.
It's just Sanderson.
Then I know I will go through one sometime in the summer where I'll be leaning heavily on like graphic novels because I won't want to read anything. And I will just be burned out. And then sometime when school picks back up for the kids and stuff, and I'll get back into it. And then it'll have another little lull. I always want to read prolifically for October. for
Mhm.
Halloween and spooky season,
Right,
and
spooky stuff.
all the horror books, I promise you, I will read like 2 books that month. I don't know what happens, but I want to read, and then I get overwhelmed with all the options I have, and I won't read anything. It's
And,
happened 2 or 3 years in a row.
for me, it seems like I'm pretty consistent with my months. Like, I'm finding I'm usually like 5 to 7 books, and I feel like if I go over that, then I'm a hot mess.
Well, that makes sense. You're taking 4 to 5 days to read a book,
Mhm.
so you figure you get 7 books, that's around 28 days or
Yeah,
so. I think that makes sense.
and I found that I don't wanna read more than 1 book at a time. Last year, it's funny, I was reading all the books that I could possibly read at once. I had one on audio, I had a physical, I even had, like, a different book that I'd read on ebooks, I was just everywhere. And now I'm like, "No, I wanna read this 1 book, and I wanna immersive read that book through, like, the ebook and then have the physical or the ebook to go along with it." But I'm finding myself enjoying that more than just, I'm going to listen to an audiobook because I need background noise.
Yeah,
I'm, like, really into these books that I'm reading.
that's great. I think the immersive and tandem reads are hugely successful,
Mhm.
and I also would like you to mention what speed you were reading your last audiobook on, please.
No.
Mhm. They crapped all
Uh,
over me, and look at her.
which one did I
You hit something at 2.
I did have 1 book at a 2, but it wasn't for very long.
I don't care, so win's a win.
It wasn't very long at all, but I did find myself around a 1.3, 1.5. So I have moved up a little bit,
You'll get
because
there.
before it was like a set 1.3, but now I had a couple that were a 1.5, 1.7, and then I couldn't go further than that because it was just too much. I'm like, "Wait, what am I listening to?" But no, I did increase my speed just a little bit, but don't worry, it's not gonna be forever.
Yes, it will, I promise you.
Yes.
Your brain won't be able you literally won't be able to talk to people because they're gonna be talking too slow. I'm like, is there a way to speed up this meeting to 2 times speed? Because I'd like to be over it.
Oh my goodness.
But that is me. So, you got your stats over there that I sent you.
All right. So here's for my statty stats. Surprisingly, I have read 6 books for April, but I'm proud of my 6 books. I am very proud of
You
them.
should be.
For my genre breakdown, I had an even split almost between fantasy, historical fiction, and mystery. And then romantasy, I have 33% in sci-fi, which was the 2 books that I read. I don't normally read sci-fi. I just wanted to see what the whole murder bot thing was you had going. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But most of my books were actually owned. I had 67% of my books actually on my bookshelf. Technically, it would be a little bit further because the ARC that I have on here for 16%, I do actually physically own. I got it in Book of the Month. And then 1 library book, which I think was actually Murderbot as well. For my ratings, wonderful even split. I did not have any 5s for April,
You
which
got
was,
close.
yeah, but really surprised that I didn't actually have a 5. It was like, I don't know, maybe I'm being more critical in my reviews or something, and I'm trying to find that one thing that makes it not a 5. But I did have even split, 33% pretty much all the way around. I have 2, 2, and 2, 4.5, 3, and 4, which I think was pretty good.
I think those are great, and you read basically exclusively books with the exception of Murderbot that you
Yes.
wanted to read. Like,
Only
and
because I needed to mark off the novella prompt.
oh, is that why you picked that
Yes,
up?
Murderbot. That was, and I think the audio was only, like, maybe 4 hours? It wasn't that long at all.
It's no.
Yeah,
The books are less than 200 pages, I think.
it was a tiny thing. But I did read you might as well say it was my first novella, actually, because I don't think I've ever read a novella.
That's crazy to me. I
Yeah,
love a novella.
I
Like,
do not usually gravitate to the novellas,
and it's
but
not even like selfishly like I want numbers or anything like that.
mhm,
It's that I can get a really self-contained story
mhm.
in like a little bite-sized package and I can just binge it and be done.
I don't know, I just don't, maybe it's because I haven't necessarily found the novellas that I like, I guess, but I did read one just recently Friday night. I read another novella. It was a Frida McFadden one, but technically it doesn't count because, it's May. We're
Yeah.
talking about April.
Hmm.
But I did read another one. It was Death Row. And surprisingly, I liked it. I'm not going to say it was a 4 or 5. Frida's always going to be a 3 for me, I think. But I did enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think what I've found even more than novellas is that I love a novella series. Like
Mhm.
I love following the world, but in like little episodic stories.
Mhm.
I don't want I love my Sanderson, but I'm currently weighted down by a 1,200-page book.
Mhm.
And then in between a 1,000-page book and the 1,200-page book
Mhm.
is a little 200, not even 200-page novella that you have to read. And it was
Really?
perfect. Like I'm all about the little novellas. And there's a couple more throughout the series that you can get in the collection. But if you read them when the reading order tells you to do it, you just get these little Easter eggs. And that's what I love is like, hey, you survived this huge book. So why don't you take a break, stay in the world, stay in this mindset,
Mhm.
follow a side character
Mhm.
who I know eventually is going to become a bigger character. So it's like a little preview of what's to come. And then it expands on everything else. And I'm like, yes, Murderbot.
And see that.
Murderbot does the same thing where you get these little stories that
Mhm.
add up to a big thing.
See, when you're thinking about like, when you mention it that way, I mean, I don't think they have any novellas at all. But the next one that I do actually have planned for May, I plan on reading the 4th book in the ACOTAR series. The Frost and Starlight, I think is what it is.
Yeah, that's the only one I don't memorize. It's blue.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the
Yes.
blue one.
That's the one that I'm gonna read. So I guess maybe I am slowly getting some novellas in there just here and there, but I'm gonna have to do some research on some more.
I think you can find these little fantasy novellas or cozy fantasy novellas. I think you might find something a little bit better there. Don't turn your
I
head because of the cozy word.
Mhm. Exactly, the cozy. I'm still working on this cozy
How
thing.
about I change the word from cozy to low stakes?
No, still doesn't work. It has the fact of the cozy in it.
I just sometimes I don't want to have to think. And a cozy book to me is one that like, is it ever going to be 5 stars? But they're cozy, they're not meant to be.
But I want it to be a 5.
That
I want it to be a 5 where I'm just all in this world, and I have found that most of my cozy reads, even though I'm not a fan of the cozy, they are magical realism.
mhm.
But I want them to be 5s because it's like I want to be in this world, this magical world, and I wanna just be lost in it.
I think I'm going to derail us for 2 seconds because I have to ask the question.
Mhm.
Do you pick up every book hoping it's a 5?
Mm, no,
Okay, good. Because I'm like,
but I
that's
want the cozy ones to be a 5.
why. Those are the ones you
Because
should
it's
have
like a
less expectations.
magical adventure, and I wanna be in that world, like, I wanna be immersed in it, if that makes sense.
But it's so small you can't be immersed in it because it's meant to be a bite-sized story. So, like, I think you're starting off on the wrong foot.
But these are not novellas, they're books.
Fair, but not a book that is getting the love and attention by the author that is going to have every minute little detail that's going to add up to this really immersive world. I think they're phoning it in a little bit, trying to get some dollars.
I still wanna get a 5.
I I have some. No, I'm done recommending you books. You never like my books. We're too different. I'm coming to terms with this. Episode 10, mark it down. I'm not recommending her any other book.
I did read a couple of them,
You read
though.
them.
Mhm.
You don't like them.
I did say that I don't like them. They are just not my normal.
Is it because I hyped it up too much?
No.
Okay, because I'm like, I'm gonna start giving you sleeper reviews. Like, yeah, this one's all right. Meanwhile, I'm over here like tattooing down on my skin. I don't want to, because I do fall prey to that a lot, where
Uh-huh.
so many people have hyped it up, and I'm like, I'm gonna love this book. All these
Mhm.
people that I really connect with,
Mhm.
book wise, they loved it. Of course, I'm gonna love it. And then I'm like, oh, this is what they loved. I didn't like it.
But, I think the reason why I like the books that you recommend for me, they are different than what I would normally read. And they are a true challenge, which is what I feel that we should be as readers. I don't think every book that you're recommended should be something that you're going to love. I don't. because reading is subjective. Something you might like, I may not like as much, but I can come out of there like, man, that was a challenge. For example, Ninth House. Not my type of story. But however, the fact that I've read it and I read the whole thing, I'm like, I can say that I read it and be proud that I challenged myself and succeeded in that challenge. I think that's the feeling that I like most about the books that you have given me. We won't talk about Murderbot just yet, but I do like that I am reading things that I would not normally read. And I feel like that is the year that I am in now with our podcast and all those things. Because I mean, you can always say, well, I'm a reader, but you stick to exactly what it is that you read. And you're like, well, are you really a reader? Because you're reading your set stack of books. But when you really venture out into the world, I mean, there's a book for everything, literally. But if you step out of your comfort zone, I feel like that's really when you become a reader because you're challenging yourself. You could be learning something new, or it could just be that you want to read something new.
Yeah. I mean, read what you want to read. I think
You're going to read more of my books.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who only read like romance books.
Smut.
They love it. And I'm happy for them. I do like my genres, but I find that I get burned out
Mm-hmm.
of it and like you got to switch it up. And I think that's where the magic really works is like if you're just reading the same thing over and over again, it's hard to reinvent the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
You can just change out names and situations and write something new. But then when you get to a romance book that's a romance book, but has
Mm-hmm.
like more heart to it or has something behind it, like Emily is obsessed with that Skyland series
Mm-hmm. I am too.
because they have such a like a authentic feel to it. You feel like it's a real story
Mm-hmm.
versus just like smutty page after smutty page. Like that's
Yeah.
not what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think every once in a while you go through a bunch of those, you get burned out and you find a gem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best part. I think I read too many horror books because most of mine were pretty low rated.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay because then I know I'm going to find another one that's just going to be like, oh, now I remember why I love horror.
Yep. And then you're going to get back. You have to read The Reformatory like soon.
After Sinners,
You need to read it.
I was obsessed with everything to do with historical horror, and that was right there. And I think I might be over the hump. So I don't know if I can get into it yet, but I am planning on reading it. So we have 2 vacations planned.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to take it for, I think, the second book. We're going to be in Georgia.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, this
Okay.
is this
So
kind
you'll
of
be in like
perfect.
the vibes and everything.
And we're
Okay.
in the mountains in Georgia. Like it's not like we're not in Atlanta.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we're off on the side thing. So, and I'll have plenty of parents to watch the kids where I can just disappear
Mm-hmm.
and read my book.
And you could even do I think you would really like the audio for that one.
Yeah.
The audio was really good.
I have it on Everand, so I'm ready to go. Locked and loaded, but it will not be May. Thinking July.
July or June.
Yeah, good
It's a
summer
good,
times.
it's a good summer read. So I think this might have to be my favorite segment that we do for our recaps is because I like to talk about the books that I previously read. So for me, I did read a total of 6 books in April. I almost shortchanged myself with 5, but I read 6. The first one was Bloodmarked. I actually set a goal in March before we even like truly set the spring cleaning. I was like, hey, I have these books that I want to read, and I called them my April hopefuls, and I got through all of them but one. So I am really proud of myself for that because I'm a mood reader. I don't normally stick to the actual hopefuls. I think I'm going to read these, and then I read a completely different set. But I did actually read Bloodmarked. It has been on my TBR for like ever. When it first came out last summer, I ended up buying it, but I bought, you know how the paper, like the hardcover comes out and then it's paperback? That's how long I waited. I had the paperback. Then the only reason I wanted to read it when I did was Oathbound came out, which was the 3rd book in the Legendborn cycle. And I just knew I was going to read Bloodmarked and then Oathbound and then wait the whole year or whatever until the next book comes out. Didn't work that way. But however, I read Bloodmarked. I'm proud of that. It was so good. I gave it a 4, which is a good rating for me. I didn't give it a 5. I gave it a 4. But it was so good that I could not go into Oathbound. I was so upset at myself. I could not just pick up the next book because I knew I would be so upset that it was over and I would have to wait. So I didn't read Oathbound, but it's on my shelf and it's beautiful.
That's the opposite of the problem I have.
Yeah, no, I could not. And especially like I feel like if all of the books are out, then maybe if I loved it so much that I could just keep reading them. But I know now that there is a fourth book for the Legendborn cycle, and we don't have a release date. We don't have any details or nothing. I'm like,
Probably 2 years. I think it was 2 years between Bloodmarked and this, right?
I don't remember, but there's no way that I can read Oathbound and just sit on that for that long. I don't think I could do it.
Interesting.
It was so good.
I'm so tempted to derail this damn thing again, but I'm going to let you go.
You have to pick it up. You have to pick it up. It was just so good. I think it is actually one of the most underrated. It needs more hype. It really does. But let me go back to my list. The next one I read was Death of the Author. I gave that one a 3. It was a sci-fi. With the cover and the book being inside the book, I thought it was going to just be this wild, crazy ride, and that's not what I was getting. I wanted the book to just be outright weird, if that makes sense. You know, like if you're in the mood for something, I just wanted it to be one of those books where you're like, man, this is wild. And you're just flipping the pages. But it was more of like a narrative to her life. She is disabled, so her legs don't work. So she ends up getting like these robot legs. And just it just didn't fit the mood. I honestly thought it was going to be where somebody else was writing her story, or maybe the legs made her do something else. That's not what it was. It was literally just her life after writing this super popular book and how everybody gravitated to it. Still, not a bad book, just not what I was looking for. Still a good read. The next book was A Court of Wings and Ruin, third in the Agatar series. I think I definitely did very good with keeping up with some series and knocking these out. And I gave this one a 4.5. I was lost in this world and I'm still trying to take my time because I don't want it to be over. I think that's my problem with some of the series that I'm reading. They're just so good that you don't want it to end. But it's like, I need to pick up the next book. But great read. I really enjoyed it. The next one was Good Dirt. I find that I have to have historical fiction in every month of my reads. It is just something that is near and dear to my heart. This one was about a family heirloom, and I gave this one a solid 4. I loved the way that the history was woven into this novel. It, I didn't want it to end, but it did, but it was great. Murderbot, the first one, All Systems Red. I gave it a 3.
Still a good rating.
Still a good rating. Not for me. It was weird. It was just okay, but it was just weird. I don't know if it was because I was coming towards the end of our readathon and I may have been a little burnt with reading. That is the honest perspective. I think I just may have been a little bit burnt with reading because we did so much. And the fact that I got 4 in our readathon was pretty good for me. And then last but not least, I have The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which was our Who Needs Reads book club pick of the month. Do you want me to give my rating?
I think we need to make them wait, but you can give a
Okay.
general vibe. Did you enjoy it?
It wasn't bad.
Okay.
I think that is a good thing coming from me to say it wasn't bad.
You say that a lot, though. Like, I thought,
But we have to make them wait, so I can't go into more detail. So coming from me, it wasn't bad is a good thing.
okay. I'm also, I haven't read it yet. So
Of course you haven't. You'll read it this month.
she asked me earlier, why you got the Lion Women of Tehran on here? That was March. And I was like, yeah, I don't read them books in the month we have them picked. It's always a couple days after the first of the month. Today's the 4th. I am going to be starting on it this week because our live show is on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So you will have to hang out for that. I fully expect myself to enjoy it. I am a little bit more of a mystery reader, but I do not always have the patience for them. And I believe you need the patience for this one. So
You definitely need your patience for this one.
I'm going to pick it up tonight and tandem read it. Emily has done a great job of taking a bunch of notes on characters, annotating quotes, different things like that in our physical copy at home. So I want her to feel loved and appreciated because I appreciate when you do that for somebody.
Mhm.
So I am going to do it. And again, general consensus was pretty good. So I think
Mhm.
I'm going to like it. Do I think it's a 5-star? I don't know. It could be.
I'm interested to know what you rated. I will say that the big thing everyone says about, The God of the Woods is that there are so many characters. I will tell you, despite what everyone says, keep reading. It makes sense.
Good. Good.
It's not like when you first read it, you're like, "Oh my gosh," it just feels like a character dump, and you're like, I hope I'm not giving too much, but it feels like a character dump, and you're like, "Okay, you have this person and this person and this person," but once you keep reading, it starts to make sense. You're like, "Oh yeah, this is so and so's friend,"
Yeah.
and then it just keeps going, and you're like, "I can get with this." So hopefully you can, but
I am going to read it regardless. I
you
don't
have
see it
to.
being I don't see it being a DNF. I'm not going to DNF it. So I will be picking that up.
Yes.
So that was your reads.
Mhm,
I think that's a great collection of books. Like it really shows you. You tried something new,
mhm,
didn't love it.
mhm,
You read some things you did love. They
mhm,
landed really close to 5 stars. And then you read some pieces that were still high, in
mhm.
that 4 range. I think that's perfect for you. I read a crap ton of books. And,
What's new?
I did learn quite a bit. Number one is that I need to stop waiting so long on my arcs
Mhm,
because I have to read them with my eyeballs and I suck at reading things with my eyes.
mhm.
I've gotten reliant upon audiobooks.
I think that's gonna be a big challenge for
It
you,
is.
especially with doing, like, these book reviews and things now, where you're getting these arcs and you're only getting the physical. It's
Yeah.
like I literally have one sitting next to me right now, but it's, like, before technology where we were really truly going to the library and picking up these physical books. We're returning back to that space.
Yeah. I need to do a better job of just starting them and
Mhm.
giving them the grace and the attention they deserve.
Yeah.
Um, and not that I'm not, but like
Mhm.
that it is harder for me
Yeah.
because I'm always on the go. And so I sit down at night and I'm exhausted. And then I'm going to try and read for an hour or two. And I just don't get as far as I want to because my brain is still either working on problems from earlier in the day or problems for tomorrow.
Mhm.
And I don't do a good job of turning that off.
This is what's gonna help you turn that off.
I hope so. I'm excited for it, but I had two, but one I finished in the previous month. So I had
Mhm.
2 arcs this month and I got to them. So we'll talk about them. But I
Okay.
started off the month with Words of Radiance, the second book from Brandon Sanderson in the Stormlight Archive. Absolutely obsessed. And
Which is why you were in a slump.
correct, like absolutely obsessed. And I said it before, I might have said it on one of our live shows. The way Sanderson's books work are I don't want to say get strung along or like it's a hard sloth through the book, but it's a lot to digest. And then the last 15-ish% of the book is an absolute sprint of reveals and pieces are falling into place and all the characters start making sense and the connections, all the stories that didn't connect now do. And then it ends with like a pretty decent resolution, but also a decent enough cliffhanger that we on to the next problem. It doesn't feel like creature feature monster of the month. Like it feels very much like, okay, this arc, because they are big books, so they feel like arcs, is mostly resolved, but we have some pieces that we still need to figure out. Go on to the next book. So I finished that. 5 stars for sure. Oh no, I take that back. I gave it a 4.5.
Oh,
Um,
not 5?
no,
What?
because it's a little unfair having to get through over 900 pages for 100 pages of good stuff. So I did
Mhm.
struggle with that a little bit, but I did get through it. Then the next book was The Book of Accidents by Chuck Wendig. I picked up because his new book came out last Tuesday, and I have not read this book. It's been sitting on my shelf for 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, it's big. I want to read it out. I want to check it out. And I'm really glad I did. I did enjoy it. It just wasn't what I was necessarily expecting. So I gave it a 3, but that's not a bad rating either. I think some of the problems that I had with the book could easily be remedied by just taking not more time, but maybe trimming some of the book down.
Mhm.
You spend a little bit too much time in some of these things. The next book that I picked up, and I actually think I'm going in reverse order. Oh, I'm definitely going in reverse order. The next book back that I read was Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's my only 5-star of the month, and I absolutely adored this book. It's so funny. It's technically a lit RPG, like literary RPG, where you follow a character as their growth is literally like a video game. You're
Oh.
ranking up, you're gaining new skills, and the audio, which is done in such an incredible way, is by Sound Booth Theater, and they do audio productions like no other.
Hmm.
Full cast, sound effects, great voices, like not your stereotypical annoying things. Like there's goblins and different things that you can't even fathom. There's a talking cat named Princess Donut. The book is one of the greatest things I have read because it doesn't take itself seriously, and if you try, you will succumb to the humor, and it just softens everything and makes it such a low stakes, bingeable, funny thing. I have a good friend who we were at soccer, and she's walking past, and I don't see her very often because our kids play soccer and it's soccer season. And she goes, "Hey, I think we parked by you. Do you have Dungeon Crawler Carl in your front?" And I'm like, this person does not read books like this.
Hmm.
She's like, "I picked it up as a joke, and now I'm on book 3."
Oh,
And she's obsessed.
okay.
She's like, "They're so funny, and they're pretty decently well written. They have great story and character. It's really just a fun time." And so
Hmm.
that energized me. I have the second book I'm probably going to pick up here this month. It's all on Kindle Unlimited as well.
Okay.
So shout out. My next book, This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. Me and Ashley we don't know what we want to do. She has such pretty covers and the stories have a lot of potential. And this one was a lot closer. It was technically a thriller, but it just didn't land. It was a 3-star. I liked it. I still would recommend it, but don't go into it expecting like a 4 or 5-star read. I just don't think the characters are really annoying. And that was one of my problems with the last one. Then we go backwards, and this was my arc. The book that held her heart by Mark Lawrence, with the final book in the library trilogy, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4, mostly because it's coming on the coattails of a great book 1, a rather lackluster book 2. Book 3 closes out the story, but I just felt like it wasn't big enough. It didn't do it big enough. And so is a 4, probably closer to a 3.5, and still highly recommend. Mark Lawrence's writing is really beautiful, and the way Sanderson does the same thing. There are excerpts at the beginning of every chapter from something.
I noticed that.
He even references his books occasionally. He'll also reference true fiction that's like a book within a book sometimes, a quote from that, or you'll get other things. And each excerpt kind of talks about what you're going to be experiencing in the chapter
Oh.
in a very unique way. Like it's not giving anything away, but kind of sets the theme, sets the tone, and then you get a little bit more of the story that you're following. So shout out to Mark Lawrence. I think it was great. Has a pretty decent, it's a 4.01 on Goodreads. So like it's still doing good. It was one of my arcs, and I'm very appreciative of NetGalley for giving that to me. So shout out for book 3. All right. The next one, The Lion Women of Tehran, book club pick. I'm not going to talk much about it. I did give it a 4. You can go check out our live show on our YouTube page. Here's discuss it in full detail if you'd like. But it was a good book.
I feel like we had a really good discussion on that one too.
We did. And the average rating on that one on Goodreads, 4.5.
Book was phenomenal.
Well loved.
Yeah.
All right. Couple more for my section before we get into my spring cleaning readathon. I read The River Has Roots, which was a really short novella by Amel Al-Motar, who is the author of This Is How You Lose the Time War. Emily read that book recently, and she didn't love that. And I can kind of understand. There's an element of fairy tale to this story. There's some fantasy. There's some magical realism. It splits between the two. But I think this one suffers from being a novella. It's too short. You don't get enough time to learn this really, I'm going to call it complex in the way that you just don't get enough details about it. And it's magical. And I think a lot of people don't take the time to like explain the world of magic and, oh, it's the world of fairy. But what does that mean? There are many different aspects to that.
More.
You didn't get enough. And so while I did give it a 3-star and I did enjoy it, just too short. So I do want to pick up This Is How You Lose the Time more because I think that's going to be, it's dealing with time and there's a little romance aspect to it. And then there's a lot of action and post-apocalyptic thing. It sounds like a really good book, but I can see how that could be hard to follow.
Right.
Last book before the Spring Cleaning Read-A-Thon, which is actually the first book I read of the month, which is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, which is the book in between book 1 and book 2 of Stormlight.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a very self-contained story on another world where you're following this character, and everything in this one is about breath. And when you have, the more breath you hold, everyone's born with one. Some people can collect those breaths, gives them
Oh.
power. If you store enough in them, you see the world in more color, more vividness. And you have, of course, magic that comes along with it. And there's an emperor who's in charge, who contains thousands upon thousands of breaths. And that's why they're the emperor. But there's something going on there that you
Hmm.
don't know about the emperor. The emperor isn't who he seems. And so, really good story. Wasn't expecting much of it. Cover is hideous. But I will say Brandon Sanderson has like a mix of really crappy covers
Mm-hmm.
and really good covers. This one's not great.
That's something that I noticed a lot with some of the books is that it feels like they're different. I don't know, like maybe editions or something. And I'll go back, because I'm reading Mistborn. It's like the cover for Mistborn. There's two different ones. The one with like the pink and not pink, it's like the purple
Yes,
swirly swirl one.
correct.
There's that one, and then there's the one I keep seeing on Amazon, which is like the one that comes in the set, like orange or something.
Yeah, so there's like the ones where it's like a black silhouetted figure on the front.
Mm-hmm.
It's orange and definitely more comical, or like a comic. And then
Okay.
that other one is very artsy. It's got Vin on the cover. And there's like swirling. It's really cool. I
Yeah.
have the mass market copy, which is honestly, it's hard to describe. It's like purple and it's got like a piece of metal in the middle. I don't know. And
Okay.
then the UK cover is absolutely stunning. And I wish I had that one.
It seems like most of the UK books are more stunning.
I agree. I think they're more willing to, I don't know if it's the artists that are available or what, but yeah. But that was my digest of everything before the Spring Cleaning Read-A-Thon. And very quickly, we're going to fly through the ones during the Read-A-Thon because I didn't love them. So the Read-A-Thon started and I grabbed 20 plus books. Okay. And I got them on my thing and I'm like,
I remember that huge stack you had.
huge
You were
thing.
ready.
I'm like, what am I going to want? What am I going to want? And then I was like, let me pick up some small stuff and get it off the thing. Because, like, you don't need a lot of brain power for a young adult or middle grade horror.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up Mine by Delilah S. Dawson. Yeah, it's a middle grade, maybe closer to YA. It's got that nostalgic feel, but I wasn't loving it. I mean, it was fine. I gave it a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Delilah and I, again, Bloom 2023, favorite book of the year. It's a novella, beautiful, horror. Oh, so good. The book I read at the end of last year, I was looking everywhere for. This Will Only Hurt for a Moment, that I ended up reading. Didn't love it. This one ended up as a 3. I think it's perfect for the audience that it was written for.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm moving past my YA phase because the next book I picked up was The Taking of Jake Livingston, which is a YA horror book. And I was kind of digging it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the horror element of it, really good. He can kind of see, he's like a medium. He can see ghosts
Mm-hmm.
and he's seeing these people who are like shooting up schools and like he sees the ghosts of what they live those things up the rest of
Sounds
their lives.
wild.
It is a crazy thing, but he's trying to solve a mystery because they're starting to affect the world. At the end, it fell apart and it ended at a 2 for me.
Oh my goodness.
And
You with a 2 is brutal.
just, I did not enjoy that one. And I'm like, again, I think it suffered because the characters were YA. The story didn't do things with tact.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a bit in your face. And I just didn't love some of the choices they made. Then I read a thriller that I was like, you know what? We're moving on to thrillers because horror's not doing it for me. So I picked up The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rikulik. And I loved Hidden Pictures, like obsessed with it. Looking back on it, I think I overhyped it too much, but like it really threw me for a loop. This book got a 1 star. I hate this book. Don't read it. Don't pick it up. Don't think anything about it. Everybody in this book, every character is terrible. There's one little girl, one little foster child. She's the only saving grace in this whole book, and she's annoying. They're all, and I'm not saying like they're bad written. They're actually poor human beings. They make selfish decisions. There's nobody to root for. Then they try to redeem them at the end after the conflict is over. Like, okay, now you want to shoehorn this in here to try and redeem the characters who are terrible and sold their souls for money, basically. Terrible book. Hated it. Get it out of here. Then I was like, all right, let me go back to horror. So I watched Sinners, and I was obsessed with stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me just get in the mood, like Sleepy Hollow Tale. You can't go wrong with Sleepy Hollow Tale.
Mhm.
So I read Horseman, A Tale of Sleepy Hollow by Christina Henry, and Christina Henry's Where the Problem's At. I don't like her books that very much. She's not a bad writer. She just writes very mid horror. And she had great source material here. She did some pretty decent stuff, but then it just doesn't feel right at the end. There's a resolution, then they do an epilogue that time jumps so that they can continue the book. It's not really an epilogue. It's another 20% of the book. 3-star. She's getting it. Okay, move on. Finally, Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. If you like Sinners, if you like Lovecraft Country, Ring Shout is for you. It is a fantasy kind of reimagined world where the Klan, the KKK, are literal monsters summoned from the pits of hell, and they're hunting them. This group of black folks is hunting these monsters who are trying to bring about the end of the world, another apocalypse, raising demons from hell. And it was so imaginative, a little too short, but I really, 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 really enjoyed this. So if you're coming down on your Sinners high, pick it up. And then if you didn't read Lovecraft Country, please do. Lastly, I read Daisy Darker. I finished that out the last day of the month. I don't know why everybody had this book up. They're like, it's the best Alice Feeney book out there. No, it's not. They did all the things that everyone does. It's a locked room mystery. It's more of a mystery than a thriller. The whole family is like, they take themselves seriously, but think Schitt's Creek, where everybody's just really annoying. They're all selfish, money hungry, crappy people. At the end, you're trying to figure out who's picking these people off one by one. Very predictable, completely see it coming, but the motivations behind doing it suck. And then the big thing, the big twist is you could see coming a mile long. Okay. It's one of those tropes that no one does well. It was done well by one person, one time, and then people try to recreate it, but you can kind of see it coming from a mile away once you've experienced it. So 3-star. I mean, Alice Feeney is like right in the middle. I'm going to keep picking up her books,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's
no.
like me with Frida.
Yeah. Or Darcy Coates for me, writes horror right in
Mm-hmm.
the middle. Just, okay, I'll pick it up. I'm not expecting a 5-star. I'll just read it, have a good old time, move on with my life. Again, 3 stars not bad. I was just a little mad that everybody loved it and I didn't. So
That's fair.
that was a lot because I read 14 books. I mean, I have to give you a little something about each one, but overall, not a great month for me. I mean, my average rating was a 3.2.
See, that's low for
I
you.
only had the 1 5, a couple 4s, and then that one really
You
drugged me down.
usually have like 4s and 5s.
Yeah, I'm usually pretty
Mm-hmm.
high. 3 to 5, somewhere in there. I love a
Mm-hmm.
3.5. Like that's still a great book. A
Mm-hmm.
4 is like wow, and then a 5 is like
Yeah.
stunning.
Knock it out the park.
And it says something when the only 5-star I got was a character named Princess Donut, and I
I
vouch for
love
that.
it.
I love it.
All right. Now that is a month, but I feel like I always say that because you always just have so many more books, but I love it. Spring cleaning. I think it's time we address our spring cleaning results, our recap, our stats. I did already go through the books that I read. Again, most of the books that I did read were included in the spring cleaning for me. I had a total of the 4 books, in case someone maybe just randomly decide to listen again. Akawar, Good Dirt, Murderbot, and The God of the Woods. I actually had 3 bingos. I'm gonna brag because I
Crazy.
had 3
I didn't
bingos.
get any.
Caleb didn't have any bingos.
I didn't map it right.
But I made sure I was very strategic. So all of my books were a mix between audio and physicals. Some of the prompts that I wanted to highlight that I did hit on my bingo board was the 3rd book in a series. I did have a romantasy. There was one book that was on my TBR for over 3 months. I was excited to knock that one out. That was ACOWAR. Good Dart was about Fresh Start, and I also did read that one outside. Yes, I had one of those nice days that we got, considering we're in a season of rain. Then we also had Murderbot, which I previously said was a novella, and a new to you author. And then The God of the Woods. That was my last in and first out. I was so excited to knock that one off. It was the very last one to go in my bookshelf, and I definitely got it out. So I think the spring cleaning was fabulous and exhausting. For that last round of our sprints, it was like the last two. I just couldn't read anymore. I found myself like scrolling on my phone. I even pulled out my Switch for a little bit. I mean, like, I just couldn't read anymore. I suggest, Caleb doesn't like my suggestion, but for me, I think this would be an ideal theme for a month because, yes, I did get 3 physical books off of my shelf, but I would have loved to actually go through the other books that are on my shelf and literally just saying, "All right, here's a book," grabbing it off my shelf, reading it, doing away with it. Either you're keeping it, you're giving it away, whatever. So I propose that we have this as a monthly theme. Caleb doesn't like it, but I think we should.
Well, everybody's always Team Ashley. So let us know though, like not everybody reads as much as me, and there are people who read way more than me. And we're not going to do spring cleaning again likely till next year, but we may do something similar. And of course, everybody should try and make it part of their reading to try and read the books that you buy.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that there's 2 different hobbies. You have a hobby of reading the books and you have a hobby of buying your books.
Correct.
I'm trying to be in the club of reading the book.
And it was nice, but I found that if you're going to buy the books, read them quickly.
Yes.
Because once they sit on there, you change and evolve as a reader.
change your
And
mind.
then you know what I think would be a really cool thing to do. But again, I have a lot of books on my list, is read it or unhaul it. I've seen that all over BookTube where you start picking the book up. If you're going to DNF it, just try DNF it or get it off your shelf.
Right.
And I think that's a really important aspect of it. Of reading in general is like, okay, we think we're going to like these books. But as you're going through, you might not be vibing with it. You can get rid of it. What you got?
We'll have another challenge coming up.
See?
It's got to be more than a week, though. I can't do this for a week.
I agree that
that was difficult.
it was also very difficult because we did 3 sprints in 8 days.
Yeah.
And the sprints were all later in the evening because like we have stuff to do
And
during
they were
the
all
day.
at least 3 hours.
They
too.
were 3, I think we did 4 hours on
One
4
of them. One of
plus
them I
on
feel
Friday.
like was a 4-hour.
And we were up till midnight, and oh my gosh, I was so
I was
tired.
worth nothing the next day. I was so tired.
And you think like, well, you're just doing that, but like I was in the zone. Like I was reading that last sprint.
Yeah.
So overall, it was a good and successful foray into trying something new. I read half my books for the month were books I owned.
That's good.
And now I also unhauled a couple books from the experience. Like I have a couple other Christina Henrys. Give them to somebody that's going to read them. Because
Exactly.
I can get it from the library if I want to read
Or
it.
donate it to the library.
Yeah,
The
they're
library
going
always
somewhere.
needs new
The little
books.
free library, the library itself, somewhere. But they're getting the heck off my shelves. And I think I'm probably getting rid of 10 books that I haven't read that I'm just like, I want to read other books. I want to collect other books. So I got to make room.
I love it.
I really enjoyed it. And I think it's important to try these new things. Comment on here what's something else you think would be really cool or fun to do. We're planning another something in the fall. We don't want to say it's a readathon, but we're going to have an event in the fall at some point. And we just kind of want to think like, what would some of our listeners want to participate in? So give us some ideas because we're lazy.
And also, while we are speaking on challenges, it is time for our official announcement of our next buddy challenge.
Yeah, we drug our feet a little bit on this. She gave me mine pretty quickly, I think, on a live. And then
I feel like it was on a live.
I think it was on a live, and I was excited. I was going through because I kind of forgot to pick yours, and Emily threw it out because I wanted you to have sci-fi, even though I just found out you don't vibe with sci-fi.
Yeah. This
But
is going to be another challenge.
I think this one might land better because it has a bit of a general fiction, literary fiction kind of feel to it on top of the sci-fi. So I'm excited for that. And I'm going to be reading it with you because I have not read it.
Oh, even more exciting. Okay, so I don't have to do this challenge by myself, basically.
Correct. We
But
could
I'm
both
not
end
going
up
to
hating it.
reread yours because I very much remember it because it was a 5-star for me.
Good. Yes.
Hmm.
Well, who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. Thanks to Emily, we picked Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And shout out to as well, coming up in a minute, we're going to talk about Asian Pacific Islander Heritage Month in May. And this happens to fall squarely in there. So there's some Asian rep. There's a friendship story. And I don't know, something about it. I'm like vibing with it because I'm thinking like, we've been friends for almost 30 years. Like we've known each other for a really long time.
30 years?
Yeah, I know. I did the math.
Don't do that.
Really close. Yeah. We were kids. And just thinking of
I feel
following
old.
we are old. My knees can attest. I limped in here. Yeah, we've known each other a long time. And I think that following a story like this and reading it together, a
Mhm.
friendship story, that's kind of at the root of this one, I think it's going to be fun. And then we're going to get elements of sci-fi, which is going to take you out of your thing. And hopefully, I mean, it landed Book of the Month 2021, I think.
Mhm.
Book of the Year, rather, which is why I own the copy. It won a crap ton of awards.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
I'm all in for it. It's got a 4.13 and it's got over 1 million ratings. So I think that's a solid read. I'm looking forward to it.
And what'd you thrown my way? Because I'm actually excited for what you're giving me. Because it's been on my list for a while.
Well, the reason why I picked what I picked for you is because you said it was a book you would read.
I surely will.
And that is my theme for my challenge for you. I ended up picking Finding Me by Viola Davis. And I know it's not something you read very often as the nonfiction, and also the fact that it's a memoir. I think that is going to be an excellent journey for you. This one sticks with me. It was a 5-star. That's all I can say. It
I
was a 5-star.
I know a little bit about it because I've seen some docs and
Hmm.
some things that talk about Viola Davis, and I love Viola Davis.
Hmm.
Number one, she's an incredible actress.
Absolutely.
She also does a lot
Hmm.
for the world, for people in the arts. She's
Yeah.
just such a passionate person,
Hmm.
person of color, a great role model.
Hmm.
And she has a great friendship story as well with her best friend. And I'm just like super excited. I'm super excited to read this. And I don't think I've been energized for a book like that
Hmm.
in a while because now I have a reason to read it.
Yes. Now, when are you going to plan to read it? That's the fun part. Does it have a spot in May for you?
I don't think so,
Don't think so. Okay.
but I don't know. It could end up there. It'll
Mhm.
depend on if I can find it. I'm going to do the audio,
Mhm. You
likely.
definitely should do the audio.
So I see if I can find that accessibly. And I don't know, because I could very well get burned out on
Mhm.
something like fantasy or horror or whatever I'm going into. And I don't think you can get much further away from any form of fiction than
Mm-mm.
nonfiction is itself. So it may
Mhm.
end up in May, but it's feeling like it'll be next month in June.
All right. Sounds good. I can't wait to see it.
So we were both kind to each other. As much as there is a little element of sci-fi, which is a little bit outside of your comfort zone,
Mhm.
I think it's going to be enough of that middle ground that I'm not being cruel and getting payback. I'm just going to go with it, and we'll see how the buddy challenge turns out.
I'm gonna put mine for June.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
We
May
can
is a little
tackle them
full
both.
right now, so we'll aim for June for
There's a
mine.
lot of releases in May,
Oh my goodness.
which we're going to talk about in just a minute.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm going to pause. All right. So something I do want to highlight, which we'll do some more on our social media page to call out some books that we're looking forward to or books that we've read that fall into this. May is Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And I think there's so many groups that deserve a recognition throughout the year. You know, BIPOC authors and API and queer and all these other groups. So I'm always excited to call out some of these things when we have a whole month dedicated to it. So
Mhm.
I'll mention, I think I have 2 books on my list coming up. But other than that, we're going to do just social media posts to call out some of the books that we've read that we think are perfect in this one. But we did want to take the time to shout it out. And I've already mentioned Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow has that rep. So we're excited. We're looking forward to it. and pick up some API books this month.
I think that is an excellent idea and just even more of an excellent thing to mention because while doing the research on books that we were reading and like the API Heritage Month, I was really surprised that a lot of the books that I previously read actually fall into like this API Heritage Month just in general. I thought that was cool because normally you just pick up a books like for me, it's the cover. And I'm like, "Oh, that looks good," but I didn't actually realize that it does fall into this category, so, I will be putting some really cool stuff on our socials, more so our Instagram page, and that's what we've really been working on, ramping up some and getting some good stuff on there, and yeah, check us out there.
Check it out. They'll be linked in the bio of the page as always. But our last segment is going to look ahead. It is May. May the 4th be with you. And we're going to just talk about a couple of the hopefuls that we've got, some books that are coming out this month, and what we think we might land on. So I'm going to start because I'm already in the middle of one of them,
Mhm.
which is Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. I could do nothing today but read this book because my brain just is, I'm in the Cosmere. I'm in Roshar. Like, I am locked in. They're throwing out characters that haven't been mentioned since book 1, and I'm remembering. Like, I'm in it.
That is impressive.
I was as shocked as you. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that
I
character.
don't think I could.
There are so many characters in this world. It's an expansive world. Different races of people and different things like that. So excited for Oathbringer, which is book 3 in the Stormlight. Should finish that out in a couple weeks because it's 60 plus hours, and even at 3 times speed.
60 plus
Yeah, I
hours?
think it's 6. I think it might be 60 even.
Oh my goodness.
It's a big one. It's 1,200 pages. Yeah. So yeah, but I'm excited for that.
Painful.
It'll be all right. Then I had a couple books that came out last week that I'm excited about. One of them is Staircase to the Woods by Chuck Wendig. I mentioned the Book of Accidents earlier. I'm excited for this. I vibe with the author enough, and I'm excited to see what he does. I love doorways, books about books, and like things in nature, like stairways, anything with the woods, really. So on the premise alone, I'm hooked. And so I am looking forward to reading that one, and I'm probably going to pick that one up pretty quick if I can find it because the library's out. I did have another book that came out last week. I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but I did want to mention it because it's one of the books that falls into API Heritage Month, but also it's been Aardvark's book club pick. It actually came out, I think, last week as well. And it's called Bat Eater and Other Names for Khorazang by Kylie Lee Baker. The more I look at the cover, the more I'm like, maybe I do want to read this. It's one of those genre bent things where it's probably going to fall into something like general fiction, but I don't know. It's just something about the cover that's drawing me to it. So the more I look at it, the more I'm like, maybe I will pick this book up. Those are the books that recently came out that I want to read, or something else that I'm already in the middle of. And then I have a couple books that are coming out the rest of the month. May is busy.
It is very busy.
The 6th, the 13th, the 20th, these books are coming out, and I'm excited about so many of them. New authors and some return authors for me. So the one that I am super excited about comes out this Tuesday, and it's Brighter Than Scale, Swifter Than Flame by Neon Yang, API Heritage Month. And it is a little novella, 176 pages, Asian-inspired fantasy. What more do you need? The cover is gorgeous, and I think it's queer. It's hitting all the keywords for me. So I'm going to pick that one up. And the same day, I'm probably going to have to fight over which one to read because I've been looking forward to this one. The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. I've mentioned it many times. It's fantasy. It's grim, dark fantasy. So it's a nice, good, dark fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it has a little horror tinge to it. So there's going to be, devils, devil worshippers, culty things. I don't know what to expect. I've never read from Joe Abercrombie, but if it's anything like Falling in Love with Sanderson, I might be hooked in picking up all of his books.
That is definitely a Caleb book.
Correct. And then I have The Incandescent, which technically comes out on the 13th. I was granted it through BookTrib. I will have the link posted as soon as I can on our socials once that article is up. Can't tell you whether I liked it or not, but it does come out on the 13th, and let's just say look out for it. And then 2 other ones. Anji Kills a King by Evan Latham. So gorgeous. It's such a cool looking cover. Another fantasy world that I'm going to get lost in. I think this is a debut. I've not heard from this author before. I've seen it all over social media, doing a lot of interviews and stuff, so I'm excited for that one. And then the last one is The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. I've had a couple books from Alex North that just landed at 3. They're thrillers. They get a little dark. They get a little gory at times, but I didn't love them, didn't hate them. So I'm hoping this one will be a 4-star for me. 3.5, 4-star. That's what I'm expecting. I'm down for it. And that's all I got.
Nice. There has been so much hype about this one that I am just going to mention that it is everywhere. And I'm even sure that Amazon has already picked up the rights to make it either a show or a movie. It's Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. It comes out on the 6th, which is literally this Tuesday. I have seen this everywhere. I don't know if it's just because I follow that publisher or whatever. I don't know. It's everywhere. So I am looking forward to it. Will I read it next month? More than likely not, but well, not won't say next month, this month, but it's on my radar because I don't read everything when it comes out immediately. Definitely on my radar. The Tenant, Frida McFadden, that one is also Tuesday. You didn't mention one.
I let you do it because it is on my list as well, and I'm definitely picking it up this month.
Okay, so another one we have that actually is in common is The Night and the Moth, which is Rachel Gillig. That comes out on the 20th of May, so that is exciting. She also wrote The One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. So very interesting, and I am excited for that one. I need to just move it to my hopefuls, but I feel like I'm going to have a busy month. So we'll see how I get that one in there. But my hopefuls, I have a lot of hopefuls, and I am curious to see if I'm going to get through all of these. So the first one I'm actually currently reading right now, it's the Amalfi Curse. It came out on April 29th. I know we're talking more about May, but it's still close. It's by Sarah Penner. She also wrote The Lost Apothecary. And definitely one that I don't know, the cover is one that's pulling me.
It is
So
pretty.
that is the audio that I'm currently listening to. I do also have an arc for it, so I'm kind of like putting that as priority, but making sure I get it. The other one that I feel like I'm going against everything that I just said, but I am also reading Aftertaste. I know, I just said I only read one book at a time, but this is the exception. Don't judge me. But Aftertaste that I am currently reading, this one is more so a book that I'm reading at night. It's also an arc that I did receive from Book Trib as well. So I will also be writing reviews for Book Trib, and I'm really excited for it. This one comes out on May 20th. Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. It comes out on May 13th. I am reading that book this month.
You and Emily both.
I am reading it. I think I already have it pre-ordered. I don't know. I might have to run to a bookstore or something to get the physical. Like, I need to have my hands on that one. May 13th, do not disturb. I will be reading that book. I don't know. What day is that? Is that a Tuesday?
Always a Tuesday,
I
yep.
might have to take off of work. So another one that these have actually been on my radar for quite some time. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I actually got this one as one of my book of the month picks. I want to say it was like in March. It was March.
Mhm.
Okay. I couldn't remember when I got it, but I am definitely interested in reading that one this month. Quicksilver, Callie Hart. That is a hopeful for me. I haven't read anything in this space, but again, it is ranting and raving on everything. So I feel like I need to see what it's all about. And I heard that the audio is good. Maybe I'll buddy read that one with Emily.
She also has been hunting it down. She
Really?
wants it bad.
Okay. So then, yeah, we're totally going to read Quicksilver together. I am going to make the tackle of Priory of the Orange Tree.
Oh no, I did not
I
see that
am
on there.
making that a hopeful. I have been wanting to read this book since I want to say like maybe November. It has been on there for so long. I think even if I just read a couple of chapters or sections at a time, I think it is time that I finally pick that one up. It needs to get off of my shelf. And last but not least, I have another ARC read that I will be doing for Book Trip, and it is called Meet Me at the Crossroads by Megan Giddings. This one comes out on June 5th. So, yes, it's a June read, but I will be reading it in May. Really excited for that one too. And I don't know. I feel like my months are starting to look like Caleb's months.
Yeah, you put as many books on your hopefuls as I read.
Oh my
So, and my
goodness.
hopeful list is small because I leave a lot of room because I get overwhelmed if I have too much on there.
Well, we're gonna see how this goes because I definitely have what I think I just mentioned 7 in my hopefuls, and
Plus some new releases.
at least 4 of those are definitely going to be read. And then we have our book club one. I didn't even put that one in there.
No, no.
Oh, we didn't talk about our book club book.
All right. So somehow we made it through over an hour of filming and forgot to mention our book club
I don't know how we did that.
because we are still burned out from the readathon. Okay. That was a doozy. But Who Needs Reads on Fable, our book
Mhm.
club.
Yes.
Um, we are finishing up The God of the Woods.
Mhm.
And next month we will be reading
Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen.
Perfect. It's kind of a genre bender.
Oh, it's got
It's
everything.
got a little romance. It's got some is it competition?
Yes. There's a little bit of everything in this one, and I will say that I'm actually a little bit more excited. At first, I didn't think too much about it when we put it on there, and I'm like, I don't know. This seems like, really romantic-y, right? But apparently, this one has the invisible life of Addie LaRue vibes, which is exciting because you love
I've been
Addie
chasing
LaRue.
it.
I do like Addie LaRue. It wasn't my, up there, but however, I did like it. So this one actually does have a little bit of everything. It is a gripping romantic fantasy packed with magic, danger, and heart. How can you not love that?
Yeah, like that's got a great blend.
Hmm.
Wow. I just read a little bit more. These 3 bullet points have me super excited. I think this is going to be great. While there is a romanticy aspect to it, hopefully it's not too heavy on that. But it says find the centuries-old devil who hunts her through each life before they find her first. Figure out why she's being hunted, break the curse, and try not to fall in love. I think that is a great tagline.
Hmm.
That should have been at the top. I don't know why they put that down towards the bottom, but
No, you'll have to copy that one for later.
I know. It is really like it seems good. Really cool cover. And again, it mentions the invisible life of Addie LaRue.
Hmm.
I don't see how I could go wrong as long as it's a good mix of kind of that fantasy life and the romance aspect. Too heavy on the romance side, I tend to not enjoy it as much.
I think you were saying that you're looking forward to reading our book club pick.
I was looking forward to the last couple.
You just read them late.
Yeah, I have to. I'm busy. You've seen my list.
I am looking forward to it. In fact, when I did my birthday book haul, because, we don't buy very many books anymore on purpose. But when I did do the book haul, I found the Barnes& and Noble special edition. It is burgundy and gold, and it actually has like the gold sprayed edges. It
Yeah,
is beautiful.
it was
And
a
I
very pretty
only
book.
bought it because it was beautiful.
We got it book of the month, so we have the copy at home. Emily will be starting it soon.
Excellent.
She waited on God of the Woods
Hmm.
and read it at a good time, and
Good.
then has been pestering me to read it. So
Yes.
I need to get to it, and hopefully she'll pick this one up pretty quickly. But
I find it so interesting, even that before we close, I want to mention that we voted, we put a poll out, and we just randomly selected some that we thought would be great pigs. The book club came together, awesome community, voted for what they wanted, which ended up being this one. But we actually already had a copy of it. So it was kind of like, I don't know, could this be like fate
maybe
with the
I
book?
think for the record, we put in 4 books.
Yes.
All 4 books got at least 1 vote.
Mm-hmm.
This one won pretty overwhelmingly. It was more than
Yes.
50%, but we had a good eclectic mix. We definitely will continue doing polls in the future. I think it's great to have the interaction with people, get the people excited about it. And I wish we could shorten the time on polls on Fable because 72 hours is entirely too long, but
Mm-hmm.
that's neither here nor there. We're excited for it. So head over to Fable. The link will be in our bio, but you can join our book club and read along with us.
Excellent. Sounds exciting. I can't wait. May is going to be busy.
It is. We will have another episode coming at you mid-month or towards the end of the month, rather, and we'll figure out what's going on there. But I think this is going to end it for today.
I think so. This
Yeah.
was good.
It was. Being away for a whole month was hard. We had a lot to catch up on, so sorry the episode might run a little bit longer than usual,
That's
but,
okay.
we had some great reads. We have some great reads coming up.
Mhm.
It's that season where books are gonna be getting released, and as I found, I like to pick up my books from the library and read them so I can then decide if I wanna buy them.
Smells like summer.
Oh, we're so close. I can't wait for some time off and just sitting either by the waves of the ocean or in the mountains, somewhere reading my book.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, everybody, that's going to end it for us. And I guess we're going to sign off and say until next time,
Happy reading.
bye.